And we continue our coverage of the deadly storms in St. Louis. It has been 4 days since an EF3 tornado ravaged the city. It left a 25-mile trail of destruction from Clayton to Granite City. Today, many have turned their attention to filing insurance claims. Others are still waiting for their power to be restored. Thanks for being here. I'm Kay Quinn. Here's what we know right now. The city of St. Louis has not yet put in a formal request to the governor to deploy the Missouri National Guard. They would be used to help in cleanup. St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer says it must be a specific request, and City Hall is completing an assessment of specific needs. She also says she's working to get federal assistance. U.S. Senator Josh Hawley also announced that FEMA crews will be in the city in the coming days to begin assessment needed for a full disaster declaration.
So I look forward to working with the governor to get an emergency disaster declaration. I know the governor's at work on that. We talked to his team again this morning. Obviously, he wants to get that out the door as soon as possible. That needs to come quickly. When it does, we will immediately push it and ask the White House to expedite this so that we can unlock disaster relief.
Those assessments are necessary for President Trump to issue a major disaster declaration that would allow individual federal assistance for storm victims. The American Red Cross has been housing storm victims since it all happened, and the need continues to grow. Overnight, it had to pivot after having its own set of challenges. 5 on Your Side's Diamond Palmer is live at Refresh Community Church. That's in University City. Diamond, what happened?
Okay, this is what we know at this point in time. We know that those people were taken from that other shelter and brought here to the Refresh Community Church after a roof leak at that shelter. That's the Grace United Methodist Church that happened. The American Red Cross tells us at this hour they currently have 139 people across 3 American Red Cross shelters that are in need. We know that need is growing by the day, and they say that's why today they are working on opening up even more shelters for people in our community. Take a look here at your screen. We know that inside of these shelters there is valuable resources for the people that are coming here. We know that includes things like hot meals, showers, and even areas where pets can stay with people. People staying in these shelters can go back to their home each morning. Of course, the worry is securing their property, but the Red Cross says the safest place to be during this time is inside of the shelters.
Just making sure that they have comfort. Again, we're relief. Our mission is to alleviate human suffering, and at this time, there's just so much loss, a sense of grief when you have to leave your home and when your home has just been destroyed in many cases.
So we know in addition to the Refresh Community Church, people can also go to 12th and Park Recreation Center at 1410 South Tucker or Friendly Temple Outreach Center at 6356 Dr. Martin Luther King Drive. Again, the Grace United Methodist Church is now closed as a shelter location because of that roof leak. And again, those people have been brought here to Refresh Community Church. If you are in need or you know anybody in need of this shelter, you can always call the Red Cross at 1-800-RED-CROSS. And again, there is no ID needed if you need to come to these shelters. And Kay, just to show you how great the need is, we know that there was an additional drop-off location, pickup location, added on 5200 Cates. That's in addition to the pickup location on Natural Bridge at the Save-A-Lot. Each day, people can go there at 8 p.m. to come right here to shelters like this. Reporting live here in U City, Diamond Palmer, 5 on Your Side.
All right, thank you, Diamond. Nice to know there is also transportation. All right, the debris is still piled up in so many St. Louis neighborhoods. The cleanup effort has been very slow for some. One of those areas, of course, North St. Louis, that was so hard hit. Walker Lawson joins us live from Enright Avenue. How are things looking where you are, Walker?
Okay, this afternoon really is the first time I feel like I have seen people out and about in this community. I'm hearing chainsaws for the first time. We're seeing a lot of people coming through cleaning, a lot of electric companies making their way through here as well. So it looks like we're finally starting to see things moving, but the damage still remains. I mean, you have a car that was turned sideways by the tornado that's sitting in the middle of the road that still sits here blocking the majority of this road behind me. And as you can see, homes that people haven't been able to really even start cleaning up yet. I mean, we saw the rain last night. Some homes here are tarped, but others like this one had to bear the brunt of the rain last night. As you can see, a bathroom right there, the toilet, there are walls that we can see into different closets, and then you have brick that is piled up. Again, I'm about 5'11", so this brick is at least 5 feet tall with how high it is piled up. Again, people are out surveying the area. We have residents coming out of their coming back to their homes rather, and talking with other neighbors, really just assessing the damage of what they're seeing out here. But we are starting to see some movement. One thing I will say though is within the last hour or so, we have noticed the wind starting to pick up. We actually shifted microphones because it was getting so hard to hear me because the wind has started to gust. So again, blowing some of those items around. So people that are out cleaning up, again, just being mindful that you're probably stepping away from some buildings that might not be as safe, because there are several homes that are leaning back a couple feet from residents that we spoke to, but starting to see some improvement and moving forward. But again, this is going to be a long road for recovery here, Kay.
It really will be, Walker. And you know, I see those bricks behind you. Some heavy equipment is going to be needed to be brought in to get that all out of there. Is there any talk of that happening?
You know, so we have seen crews coming by. We saw some people sweeping streets earlier today, but I've not heard anything from residents here that are even aware of what those next steps are really going to look like to get this stuff off of the roads. I know a lot of them are mainly working, obviously, with their insurance adjusters, but not from anything we've seen, mainly power crews, and we have seen a couple people with scrapers coming by that have moved to the backside of this neighborhood, but nothing primarily being moved out here in this front side.
Have you seen any kind of a volunteer effort underway there today? Because I know over the weekend, so many volunteers were helping. What's happening in that regard?
Yeah, we have seen people walking around picking stuff up, wearing the light vests, walking around picking up trash. We also see some people that just set up tents actually right down the street. Probably, I want to say within the last 5 minutes right before this live shot. We were actually going to walk down to them right after this. But of course, Restore St. Louis was out here last night and all day yesterday, and they said they would be coming back out here again today to try to help people in any way they can, whether that was to move some small items, bagging them up and putting them on the roadways, or whether that was to try to help them in any way they can with tarps or anything like that. So there have been some people out here working the best they can to help.
All right. Thank you so much for your report, for bringing us up to date on what's happening in the neighborhood. We've been following up on a number of reports claiming the city's tornado warning sirens didn't sound during Friday's storm. We had some people contacting us on Friday saying they never heard it. Well, Mayor Spencer blames it on human error. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski looks into what happened and what's being done to make sure it doesn't happen again.
North St. Louis residents have been asking since the storm hit, where were the sirens?
I did not hear a siren. We just saw everything start turning up. Big gusts of wind, trees started to lay down to the ground, big trees. Just hell. They just passed my parts up and just came down here and just tore up everything.
No siren.
St. Louis Emergency Management tested them the day before this deadly EF3 tornado ripped apart the city.
But they do all their testing at every first of the month, but the sirens didn't work this time. Nothing came through.
I heard them the day before, but I ain't heard nothing.
Do you think if you would have heard the sirens that would have made a difference?
It would have made a difference for me because I could have got to somewhere a little safer, but if he heard it, he just still would never fell on it.
Lawrence Poole is talking about the roof that fell on top of his friend during the storm. He's been helping him put a tarp over his home.
So much grief floating around there, you can feel it. It makes people sad.
Tony Davis says he might have made it to the basement if he had warning, but instead he got trapped.
I was stuck up there when I went to try to get out. My steps was gone, so I couldn't run. I say, well, I just got between my door jamb and say, let's go.
Mayor Kara Spencer says the reason the sirens didn't go off, to put it simply, someone did not push a button.
But at the end of the day, this was a human failure. We know that our emergency management system also issued 317 direct messages to the community to let them know.
Poole is upset learning this is the reason they didn't have warning.
It makes me, it just ticks me off. It don't make sense.
A current city protocol document says warning sirens are supposed to be activated at the fire department dispatch center or city emergency management agency. Spencer says that's changing.
It was not exceptionally clear about whose roles and responsibilities it was to do what. It is now my responsibility and my role to ensure that moving forward, this protocol is crystal clear, and it is. This protocol is calling for our fire department, who is staffed 24 hours a day, to issue those warnings.
That was Laura Barczewski reporting. Mayor Spencer says she's taking accountability for the failure and has full confidence in the city's fire department that it will be able to trigger sirens moving forward. Neighborhoods and streets are drying out today after a night of heavy rain. We caught crews in Fenton preparing for flash flooding related emergencies. The city's fire department tells us residents were able to make it out on their own. We also saw flooding in the usual spots, Highway 141 and I-44 and on Merrimack Bottom Road. The flooding is the result of a big storm that kept our weather impact team busy overnight. Meteorologist Jim Castillo is here with more on that. A coming cool down, but maybe a chance for more severe weather today. Jim?
Yes, there is a chance of that. So we'll get to that radar coming up. But yeah, last night, the electrical storms in the area. Then we had rain, almost 3 inches in House Springs and also Edwardsville, well over 2.5. So this afternoon, we're watching the radar again, and I'm just seeing a couple, let's zoom in a little bit, a couple cells up there in Pike County, Missouri, closer to this rotation that we're seeing to the north. So again, that spin in the atmosphere is still there. We had numerous tornado warnings last night, and survey crews are out around Washington County, Missouri, and also western Jefferson County, because we may have had a couple of small spin-up tornadoes last evening before midnight. I was here till midnight, but afternoon storms this afternoon, yes, 1 to 6 p.m. We will watch this for you. We'll be here live on air if that happens. And also all hazards are possible again. And you can see that spin in that northern portion of Missouri in the atmosphere. This has to get past us before that severe weather threat ends. A little bit more on the forecast coming up in just a bit.